Ethan Cole had never imagined that love would take him light years away from Earth. He was just a simple engineer from a small town, the kind of man who fixed old machines and watched stars through a dusty telescope. But fate had a strange sense of humor. It began when his company sent him to the colony world of Virelia 7, a humid blue-green planet known for its trade with humans. That was where he met Leary, an alien girl with skin that shimmered like liquid silver, and eyes that glowed softly when she smiled. Her species, the Thyrans, were known for their kindness and emotional honesty. They could not lie, which made them trustworthy, and sometimes dangerously sincere. Ethan first met her in the maintenance bay when a coolant pipe exploded. He was covered in blue mist, coughing and swearing, and Leary had laughed so brightly that he forgot how to breathe. From then on, they worked together. They talked about everything: the stars, their families, the foods they missed from home. Ethan liked her calm voice, her curiosity about Earth, and the way she tilted her head when thinking. Over the next 2 years, friendship turned into something more. The station crew joked that Ethan was half Thyran already, because he smiled too much these days. And when he finally proposed under a glowing dome of Virelian fireflies, Leary's eyes turned golden, the Thyraian color of joy. The wedding was a small but beautiful affair. Human and Thyraian guests gathered around a pond that reflected the twin moons. The air smelled of nectar and ozone. Leary wore a flowing gown that rippled like light itself, and Ethan, in his neat navy suit, looked both nervous and proud. When the Thyran elder bound their hands with a silver thread, he declared, "Now you are one soul, 2 hearts, and 2 worlds joined." Ethan had never felt happier. He was marrying the woman he loved. What could possibly go wrong? That night he learned the answer. The newlyweds arrived at Leary's family home on the edge of the city, a tall coral-like structure glowing softly in the night. Ethan expected privacy, maybe a cozy room with 2 beds fused into one like in Earth hotels. But when the door slid open, he saw 7 other Thyrans waiting inside. They all turned toward him, smiling warmly. Leary clasped his hand. "Ethan, this is my family. My parents, my brothers, my sisters, and my grandsire. They are excited to share the sleeping pool with us." Ethan froze. "Share? What now?" "The sleeping pool," Leary repeated, her voice full of innocent excitement. "Of course. We all rest together. It keeps our hearts in rhythm." He blinked. "All of us? In one bed?" Her family nodded politely as if this was the most normal thing in the galaxy. Ethan's human brain short-circuited for a moment. On Earth, privacy was sacred. But on Virelia 7, it seemed family time meant something very different. He forced a smile. "That's wonderful. Very, close." They led him into a vast room where the floor was filled with a shallow pool of glowing blue liquid. Cushions floated gently on its surface. The Thyraians began slipping into the water, relaxing, humming softly. The whole room pulsed with faint bioluminescence like the heartbeat of a living ocean. Ethan looked down at his reflection and whispered, "Well, this is going to be new." Leary noticed his hesitation. She touched his arm. "Is something wrong, my heart?" He shook his head quickly. No, just adjusting. Humans usually sleep alone or, well, with one person." Her eyes widened with confusion. "Alone? But how do you keep your heart warm through the night?" He had no idea how to answer that. Blankets?" The family giggled softly, the sound like tinkling wind chimes. Leary's mother smiled. "Do not worry, human son. We will make you comfortable." And so that night Ethan climbed into the pool beside his new wife. The water was warm and strangely alive, humming faintly beneath his skin. Around him the family settled close, their silver skin glowing softly in the dim light. At first Ethan lay stiff as a board, terrified to move. Every time someone shifted beside him he nearly jumped. But gradually he realized there was something oddly peaceful about it. The hum of their heartbeats synchronized, creating a rhythm that seemed to calm his mind. He even began to feel sleepy, until one of Leary's younger brothers rolled over and rested a glowing arm across his chest. Ethan opened his eyes and whispered to himself, "I did not sign up for this." Leary giggled quietly beside him. "You are part of the family now," she whispered back, cuddling closer. Despite his awkwardness, Ethan couldn't help smiling. The warmth, the laughter, the sense of belonging. It was strange but beautiful. He thought of his small apartment on Earth, cold and empty, and realized maybe this wasn't so bad after all. As he drifted off, surrounded by alien heartbeats, Ethan decided one thing. He would learn to understand their ways, no matter how confusing they seemed. After all, love wasn't just about comfort. It was about sharing worlds, even if that meant sharing a bed with half the galaxy. And just before he fell asleep, Leary whispered, "Tomorrow, you will meet the rest of the family. They live in the next cluster." Ethan's eyes snapped open again. "The rest?" Leary smiled sweetly. "Oh yes, my love. We are a large family." Ethan stared at the glowing ceiling, silently praying that Earth's concept of in-laws was easier than this. Ethan woke up to the soft hum of morning light seeping through the coral walls. For a moment, he couldn't remember where he was, until he realized there were 6 glowing arms draped over him. He blinked and whispered, "Right, the family bed." Slowly, he tried to move without waking anyone, but the water rippled and instantly, 7 pairs of silver eyes blinked open around him. "Good dawn, Ethan," chorused the Thyrians cheerfully. He smiled weakly. "Good dawn, everyone sleep well?" They all nodded, smiling in perfect synchronization. It was both adorable and terrifying. Leary swam closer and touched his cheek gently. "You adapted well for a first night. My brother said your heart rhythm was comforting." "My heart rhythm?" Ethan repeated. "Yes," said her mother proudly. "We could all feel it. Humans have a strong pulse. It made the pool sing." Ethan rubbed the back of his neck, unsure how to respond. "On Earth, people said you snored if you made noise in your sleep. Here, apparently, you sang." After breakfast, which consisted of floating fruits that changed flavor mid-bite, Ethan was given a tour of the house. It looked grown rather than built, made of living coral that pulsed faintly with energy. Each room was filled with moving lights and soft humming sounds that made it feel alive. Leary introduced him to everyone as my heart bonded. Each family member greeted him warmly, too warmly. Thyrians didn't shake hands. They hugged instantly, pressing foreheads together to exchange warmth. Ethan did his best to keep smiling, though by the 5th hug he looked like a startled robot. "Your people greet differently?" asked Leary's father curiously. Yes," Ethan said. "We usually just wave." He demonstrated. The entire family gasped in delight. "So polite. So distant. How mysterious," said her younger sister. Ethan wasn't sure if that was a compliment. Later that day, Leary took Ethan to the community hall, where her relatives were preparing for a big family gathering. Apparently, every newly married pair had to share a harmony feast with all branches of the clan. That meant over 50 Thyrians. Ethan's heart nearly stopped. Leary, however, was glowing with joy. "You'll love it. Everyone will want to meet the first human husband in our family," he whispered under his breath. "Yeah, I can hardly wait." At the feast, the hall glittered with soft light. Tables floated on shallow water and glowing petals drifted in the air. The scene was beautiful, until everyone noticed Ethan. Dozens of luminous faces turned toward him and a wave of curious whispers filled the hall. "That's him. The human. His skin is so dull. How fascinating. Do humans really eat cooked food?" Ethan smiled nervously as a crowd formed around him. Questions came from every direction. "How many siblings do you sleep with? Do humans shed skin every season? Can you breathe underwater?" He tried to answer politely. Just one sibling, and no, I don't share a bed with them. Also no shedding, and no, I can't breathe underwater. I like oxygen." They looked mildly disappointed. Leary noticed his discomfort and took his hand, squeezing gently. "They are curious. You're the first human they have ever met up close." "I noticed," he muttered, forcing a smile. When the feast began, Ethan was handed a small glowing sphere. "You eat it whole," Leary explained. "It melts inside and becomes what your body most desires." That sounded like alien magic, but he trusted her. He popped the sphere into his mouth, and suddenly it tasted like warm bread, sweet coffee, and his mother's apple pie all at once. His eyes widened. "This is incredible," Leary beamed. "It listens to your memories." He looked around at the joyful alien faces glowing in the soft light and felt something warm stir inside. Maybe this wasn't just weird, maybe it was wonderful. After the feast, Leary's grandsire, a tall Thyrian with deep violet eyes, approached Ethan. "Human son," he said, "you have taken a great step joining our kind. But to live among us, you must learn our harmony ways." Ethan straightened. I'm ready to learn. Good, said the Grandseer. Lesson 1. Sharing. Before Ethan could ask what that meant, the elder pointed to a group of small glowing creatures swimming in a nearby pond. These are Malera fish. We feed them with pieces of our own meals, never taking more than we give. Ethan nodded, tossing a bit of fruit into the water. The fish swirled happily. Lesson 2, the elder continued. Harmony of work. You must build with us. They led Ethan to a construction site where Thyrans were repairing part of the coral wall. Instead of tools, they used their hands to sing soft notes that made the coral reshape itself. Ethan was amazed. You build with sound? Leary smiled. Sound carries intention. If your heart is calm, the coral listens. He tried it, humming softly, focusing on peace. The coral didn't move. He tried again, louder. Nothing. Then one of the children giggled and said, You sound like a grumpy whale. The family laughed kindly, and Ethan couldn't help but laugh too. Guess I need more practice. Over the next few weeks, Ethan slowly adjusted. He learned to eat food that glowed, to sleep surrounded by a dozen relatives, and even to communicate through emotional color shifts, a Thyran form of expression. Leary taught him how to project calm blue light when happy and soft green when thoughtful. Sometimes, though, things went wrong. One morning, Ethan accidentally turned bright orange in the color of romantic challenge while speaking to Leary's sister. The entire family gasped, and he spent an hour apologizing. I swear it was an accident. I was trying for green. Leary laughed until tears glowed in her eyes. You are adorable when you panic, my heart. Despite the awkward moments, Ethan began to feel part of the family. He fixed small machines for them, told stories about Earth, and even taught the children how to make paper airplanes from thin leaves. The aliens loved it. They'd never seen something that could fly without wings. Every night when they all gathered in the sleeping pool, Ethan found himself less tense. He'd learned the rhythm of their breathing, the warmth of their glow, and the gentle hum that lulled him to sleep. It wasn't home in the way Earth was, but it was starting to feel like it. One evening, as Ethan floated beside Leary, he finally asked the question that had been on his mind. Leary, why do you all live so close together? Doesn't anyone ever want privacy? She tilted her head. Privacy? Yeah, you know, time alone. Just you, Leary thought for a moment. In our culture, being alone means being disconnected. We believe that every heart beats stronger when it beats with others. When you are alone, the song of life becomes quiet. Ethan was silent. Back on Earth, he'd often eaten dinner alone, fallen asleep to the hum of machines, and told himself it was fine. But hearing her words, he realized how lonely that truly sounded. Leary touched his chest gently. Do humans not feel lonely? Sometimes, he admitted softly. I used to think that was normal. She smiled, glowing gently. Then perhaps you came here to learn a better way. Ethan smiled back. Maybe I did. But just when he thought he was finally fitting in, new chaos arrived. One afternoon, Leary ran into their room, eyes shining bright gold. Ethan, wonderful news! He grinned. No more family bed? She laughed. Even better. My extended family from the northern colony is coming to visit for the Great Resting Festival. Ethan's smile froze. Extended? How extended? About 83 relatives, she said happily. And they will all stay here for the next 5 days. He nearly dropped his cup. 83? Here? Yes. Isn't it exciting? So much warmth and harmony. Ethan looked around at their already crowded home and imagined the sleeping pool with 83 more glowing bodies. His heart skipped a beat. He forced a grin. Exciting is one word for it. Leary kissed his cheek affectionately. You will do fine, my love. You always adapt. Ethan nodded weakly, staring out at the horizon where twin moons glowed in the sky. He had survived one alien wedding, one family feast, and a house full of glowing in-laws. But this would test the limits of human patience and perhaps redefine the meaning of family. He sighed, muttering to himself, humans really will do anything for love. Ethan had faced difficult missions in his career as an engineer, broken reactors, dangerous repairs, and long months alone in deep space. But nothing had prepared him for the chaos of 83 Thyrans arriving at once. It began with the sky darkening. Not from clouds, but from the shimmer of landing craft descending near the Coral City. Leary's eyes glowed with joy as she ran to greet them. Ethan followed behind, both curious and nervous. The first few ships opened and dozens of silver-skinned relatives poured out, laughing, humming, glowing in shades of blue and gold. They hugged, sang greetings, and exchanged light pulses that rippled across the field. Ethan stood still, smiling weakly as one by one, more of Leary's kin surrounded him. Ah, the human husband! So small, so compact. Can I touch his hair? He looks so soft! Before he could answer, 6 hands were already patting his head. Leary giggled. They mean well, Ethan. Yeah, he said, trying to breathe. I can tell. Soon the house that had once felt large now buzzed with activity. Extra coral extensions grew overnight to fit everyone. Floating tables filled every room. Glowing decorations hung from the walls, and songs echoed all day and night. The great resting festival had begun, a celebration of unity, warmth, and togetherness. For Thyrians, this was sacred. For Ethan, it was exhausting. The first night, the sleeping pool stretched wall to wall. Ethan found himself wedged between Leary, 2 cousins, and a glowing elder who hummed in his sleep. The hum wasn't gentle. It sounded like a whale snoring underwater. Ethan lay awake for hours, staring at the glowing ceiling. This is fine, he whispered to himself. Totally fine. By morning, he was floating half asleep, with one cousin using his arm as a pillow and another draped across his legs. When he finally managed to get up, Leary smiled dreamily. You slept so peacefully, my love. Ethan blinked. Did I? Oh, yes. The family said your body heat kept the pool perfectly balanced, he sighed. Glad I could help. Despite the chaos, Ethan tried to be a good sport. He joined the preparations, helping decorate the city plaza for the final night of the festival. He fixed light generators, carried glowing shells, and even helped a group of children set up floating lanterns that changed colors with music. At first, the aliens didn't think he could keep up, but Ethan surprised them. He was strong, practical, and didn't complain. When a coral wall panel cracked, he used his engineering tools to patch it in minutes. Leary's father watched, impressed. He works fast for one with no song, Ethan grinned. I have tools instead. That evening, when the family gathered to thank the workers, the Grand Seer raised his voice. This human has done what even our builders could not. He listens, learns, and gives from his heart. Truly, he is one of us. Ethan felt his face grow warm. The entire family began to hum softly, a sound of approval that made the air vibrate gently. It was like being hugged by sound itself, but peace didn't last long. The next morning, while Ethan was helping Leary set up lanterns, the lights around the city flickered. Then, without warning, a deep rumble shook the ground. Leary gasped. The coral core, it's destabilizing. Ethan looked at her. The what? Our home's living structure. It's growing too fast because of all the visitors. The energy balance is breaking. He followed her outside and saw cracks spreading along the coral streets. Glowing vines twisted out of control, wrapping around houses. The hum that had once been soothing now sounded sharp and angry. Panic spread among the family. Thyrians tried singing to calm the coral, but their songs clashed. Too many voices, too much chaos. Leary turned to Ethan, eyes wide. We must bring harmony back or the city will collapse. Ethan's mind raced. You said the coral responds to calm hearts, right? Yes, but our emotions are too many. The coral cannot understand this noise. Ethan thought for a moment, then snapped his fingers. Then we need one rhythm, one signal. He rushed to the central generator, the same one he'd helped repair earlier. The glowing core pulsed wildly. He pulled open a panel, wires crackling under his hands. Ethan, what are you doing? Leary cried. He grinned. If the coral listens to rhythm, then we'll give it a steady one. Using his engineering gear, he synced his tools to the coral's pulse frequency. Then he adjusted it to mimic a slow, stable human heartbeat. Thump, 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 thump. The sound spread through the generators, echoing through the coral city. Slowly, the walls began to calm. The vines loosened. The chaotic hum softened. Leary's family stared in awe. What is that sound? Ethan smiled, sweat dripping down his forehead. That's the sound of home, a human heart. The Grand Seer approached, glowing with respect. You guided the coral with your own life rhythm. You sang without singing. Ethan shrugged modestly. Guess humans just have a different kind of music. That evening, when the danger had passed, the entire family gathered to celebrate. The Great Resting Festival became a celebration not just of unity, but of Ethan's courage and quick thinking. Leary glowed with pride. "You saved our home," he laughed softly. "More like stabilized it with a heartbeat." Her mother smiled warmly. "Perhaps that is what we needed, a new rhythm." As the stars rose above, hundreds of glowing lanterns floated into the sky, pulsing in time with Ethan's heartbeat. The air was filled with soft humming and gentle laughter. For the first time since coming to Virelia 7, Ethan felt completely at peace. Later that night, when the house finally quieted, Ethan and Leary floated in the sleeping pool. Surrounded by dozens of relatives resting peacefully, the water shimmered softly with starlight. Leary turned to him, eyes glowing gold. "You have changed us, Ethan. My people learned something from you today." He smiled sleepily. "And I've learned plenty from you all, especially how not to panic when 80 people try to sleep beside you." She laughed softly. "You still find it strange?" He thought about it. "Maybe a little, but it's also kind of nice. Back on Earth, I used to sleep alone. Sometimes I'd wake up and the silence felt too heavy. Here, even if someone hums or rolls over, it reminds me I'm not alone. That's comforting." Leary rested her hand on his chest, feeling his heartbeat. "You see? Your rhythm belongs here now." For a while they floated in silence, surrounded by the soft glow of family. As the festival came to an end, the visiting relatives began leaving, one ship at a time. The house grew quieter, though still filled with warmth. Ethan found himself hugging each family member goodbye, forehead to forehead, just like they did. When the last ship left, Leary's father smiled at him. "You came to us as an outsider. Now you leave this day as one of our own." Ethan bowed his head respectfully. "Thank you. I guess I'm half Theran now." The grandsire chuckled. "Half no human, son. You are whole." Leary took his hand. "Come, my heart. Let us rest." They returned to the pool, now calm and quiet, the glowing water reflecting the twin moons above. Ethan floated beside her, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, distant, blue, and alone. But here he had something different. A world where warmth meant togetherness and love meant never sleeping alone. He chuckled softly. "You know, if I ever go back to Earth, I'll have quite the story to tell." Leary tilted her head. "What will you say?" He grinned. "That I married the most amazing woman in the galaxy and got 80 in-laws for free." She laughed, the sound like wind chimes. "Then it was a fair trade." He smiled, closing his eyes as the pool hummed softly around them. "Yeah," he whispered. "It really was." And as he drifted into sleep, the rhythm of his heart joined the gentle pulse of the Thyrean song, two worlds beating as one.